everyone, and welcome. Welcome to the Mind and Muse Crafts channel here on YouTube, and I am your host, Caroline. I come to you every couple of weeks from the island of Puerto Rico in the Caribbean, and that is where I share with you, or more or less, better said, this is the time that I share with you all of the things that are part of the crafty side of my life. Because yes, I have a crafty side to my life. And recently it has actually been occupied the most amount of time in my life because that's just the way I am. I am that type of person that just starts something and wants to get it done, or it's on their mind all the time, even if they're doing other things, and I want to get back to it. And so being crafty can have its downsides. Welcome back if you are a returning viewer. I am very thankful for your loyalty. I'm very glad that you find in you the desire to come back and see what I'm up to every couple of weeks. And if you are a new viewer, if you're visiting for the first time, well then, thank you also for pressing that watch button and for accepting the adventure of the unknown. In this podcast, you will find that I share mostly my crochet projects, but every once in a while I do take on other crafts such as knitting, sewing, and felting. Oh, and I can't leave out the jewelry making because that's always underneath, combined with other crafts. So this is me. And the podcast is normally divided into segments. The first part of this segment is called Walking the Talk. In the Walking the Talk section, I present to you projects that I have done previously to the podcast, sometimes very close to when the podcast is being recorded, sometimes in a long time past, very much into the past. And I like to present them to show you that I actually use all of those beautiful things that I am sharing with you. So today I am sharing with you a couple of pieces of jewelry that I have made in the past. The first set of earrings and necklace were created when stringing gemstone beads was a very had a large presence in my crafty life. And this is a stone called brecciated jasper. Thank you, jasper. Jasper has many different varieties. This one is, I don't know if you can see it up close, but it's a reddish orange, deep red orange tone with some striations of gray and blue and maybe some darker like Merlot. And these are dagger beads that I strung to create a pendant. And for the actual neckband, I have got two-holed, flat-backed jasper beads that I have combined with just some seed beads. This was a while back. Wow, I can't even remember, but it was when my jewelry phase was really strong, and I just wanted to read to you a little bit about the stone in case you are not a gemstone. You are not very knowledgeable of gemstones. Neither am I, as a matter of fact. But while I was using gemstones to make jewelry, I did pick up a couple of things here and there. Some of the names stuck, some of them didn't. So my brecciated jasper, this is a sort of larger picture of the stone so that you can appreciate more like that dark, intense terracotta red. Can that be said? This is also called poppy jasper because of the orbicular patterns of poppies as seen in the speckled shades of white, yellow, black, or brown. It is most characterized by the gray and red colors. And why would you use brecciated jasper? Brecciated jasper is said to be an excellent grounding stone that will help you keep your feet on the ground and enhance feelings of wholeness and tranquility. Who doesn't need that? It is the perfect stone to have with you when you're feeling overwhelmed by work or personal matters. Just keeping this stone close to you will infuse you with feelings of calmness and relaxation. It is an uplifting energy stone, and so, well, all the more reason to have lots of it around me. So I've got earrings, I've got the necklace, and one of my finished objects today is precisely a ring that I crocheted up probably very close to the time when I recorded the last podcast, because I kept on thinking that I wanted to make a casing, a cage, or in which I could put my stones into. And so after the last podcast, if you saw it, you remember that I presented a flower crochet ring. And that flower crochet ring, not so much a pattern, but more or less a recipe for creating it, I put on my blog. I have a blog where I share maybe once a month messages with anybody who's interested, and I also share some free patterns, and I also link all of the recordings of my podcast. So it's one place where you can find everything. And the last pattern is not a free pattern on a PDF, but it is a free pattern because it is attached. It is written at the bottom of the last message that I wrote up. So you can find that there. But after that, shortly after that, I created this ring. It's also brecciated jasper. And so it is a band. There are probably, I believe there might be 8. I guess I could count them if I wanted to, right? I believe there are 8 single crochets there, back and forth, to create the band. And then, differently from the previous ring where the flower is crocheted, so it's not very sturdy, and you want it to be on something sturdy so that it's not all wimpy and it stands up on its own. So I included on the band, I connected the band to a washer, to a glass, the quartz washer, and that helped the flower stand upright. In this case, I didn't need the glass washer because the stone was so thick and large. I've got a ruler right here because I did forget to measure it for you. But this stone is 1.5 inches. If you're into centimeters and all that, it would be 15 millimeters, 1.5 centimeters. That's the stone. This stone has like a sort of a hexagon, an elongated hexagon shape. So I didn't write up this pattern because it is so dependent on the shape of the stone that it was going to be very hard. I mean, it would only work for that stone. So basically, I can tell you that I crocheted the band. That was the easiest part. And then I tried to crochet a cage where the back that I recreated, the back part of the cage, has the same shape as the stone. So it's an elongated hexagon. And then that's all in single crochet. And then I crocheted around that hexagon, probably back loops only to bring it up. And then I crocheted another band that I thought would be the same thickness as this stone. This stone it's got maybe 5 millimeters of thickness. And then this one I had to glue in. Because this is nylon and nylon will stretch, the stone would pop out. To avoid the stone popping out, it does have a couple of drops of epoxy glue on the inside of the cage, very carefully placed so that when you insert your stone, it doesn't get stuck to the outer part of the stone, because this is a glossy stone, very shiny, and that glue will just eat up that shine that it has. And so that's my ring. That's my new ring. And if you're into large rings, you could probably do this sort of thing with any large stone. And if you're not into large stones, you could probably do the same with very small stones. It's just a matter of getting the caging right. And then I glued the caging. I did it both, actually. I tacked it down to the band. First I glued it so that it would stay in place where I wanted it. A small amount of glue underneath, being careful that the glue didn't fall upon any of the parts that you want to show, because it will also turn the nylon very opaque and it will lose its shine. Nylon has like a shine to it. This is all nylon thread. And so yeah, that is my newest obsession, making crochet rings out of large stones. And so it's so nice that now I have a set that I can wear everything together, and everything says the same thing. At the same time, I can believe that I'm getting all of these metaphysical properties of the stone to make me feel right down to earth, calm and settled in. So what a great way to start out this podcast, calm and settled in, even though I am very excited because I really enjoy very much the time that I spend with you every couple of weeks, because I don't have anywhere local where I live that I can go and share what I'm working on. Well, this is the best thing that I've got, to a local, maybe a local crafty group that I can share the things that I work up with. And in this type of work, although I can sit and stare at the things that I make for the longest time and appreciate their value and their beauty, it's always great to share with others. So, thank you for joining me this morning. And let's get on. This ring was part of my end of the line for the week, so I guess I will just continue with end of the line stuff. I am going to share with you a project that was nowhere started the last time that I spoke with you. I don't even know if it was in my mind, but I had for the longest time been wanting to have a pair of fingerless mitts. I just, for some reason, didn't want to go through the trouble of making them. Does that make sense for somebody who crafts? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I love for people to make me socks. If you ever have a pair of socks that you did not like the color scheme, they fit well, but you just don't like them and you want to send them my way, I accept. I love socks. I love handmade socks. And that includes knitting and crocheting. These are crocheted fingerless mitts. This is the Winter Tree cabled fingerless mittens pattern. Whoops. There we go. The link is on Ravelry, so you can find the link there. Unfortunately, the pattern does not have the name of the designer, because on Ravelry it will take you to the link. The link is to a blog called I Do Some Things Some of the Time, and but it doesn't have. I printed it out, but it doesn't have the name. It is free. And this is what they were supposed to look like. And thinking about the Harry Potter Mischief Managed Mal that is being run by Elizabeth of the Crochetcakes Podcast, I was looking through my printed patterns and I saw this and I said, well, that looks to me like a Whomping Willow. So I set about to make that. As usual, I wanted to do it with stash. The pattern calls for a worsted weight yarn, and I very, very rarely purchase worsted weight. I very rarely purchase worsted weight yarn because of the fact that I live on an island in the Caribbean and it's usually too hot, boiling hot here to wear worsted weight items. But I do travel. I used to say frequently, not so frequently anymore, maybe once or twice a year to visit my son and daughter that live in the colder states of the US. Not the coldest, but pretty cold. And so I do travel, and I started these mats very late one night. Oh, it was probably about 11:30. And I just said, let me read over the pattern to see what it entails. I immediately wanted to begin it, and I stayed up all night trying to get the cabled pattern correct. I'm not so sure that there's a mistake in the wording. It was just not clicking for me, because you know that when you are used to crafting, especially, well, not especially, but for example, you are a crocheter, you crochet significantly, you crochet during a significant amount of time of your week, let's say, maybe not on a daily basis, but over the week it is a significant amount of time, then you always second guess and question what other people write. So it wasn't clicking for me, but it finally did click, and once it did click, I didn't want to put them down. So they were made more or less in, I would say, 5 or 6 hours. They really do not take a lot, and I was very happy at that. So let's see. Here is one of them. Okay, we can see it better there. I was able to get the cabled pattern. And then she just incorporates attaching some beads, and I attached them green because that's what I had in my. Plus, if you watch the Harry Potter movies, every once in a while it'll shake and the tree will shake and a green leaf will fall off. I could also put a bird somewhere, because also birds, maybe I'll add a bird charm to it. I think that would be cool. So that's one. I do have two. I have made two. Let me see the other side. It's mostly half double crocheted with the cabling, which is done in front posts and some back posts too. But I just wanted to see if I could get. I keep looking up, and I'm sorry for all the glare you're getting from my glasses, but you can't really see. Well, at least I can't see it. Maybe you can, but I can't. That I used 2 yarns. I stranded them together. I used what I believe to be the dark brown from Stylecraft DK. And then I also had in my stash some chocolate from Valley Yarns, Huntington range. I had some chocolate. So they're not exactly the same. The chocolate is darker, so that when you actually work them up, it gave some depth to the color, because it's got all the lighter brown has like a shadow in the back, and so that kind of like gave some depth to the color that I was very happy with. And let's see, just in case you want to see them on, I'll try them on. Let's see. See, so they fit. I think they look pretty nice. I don't know how warm they would keep me. Maybe in the autumn if it wasn't too cold. But the idea of wanting to add to it the wool was precisely because the Valley Yarns is 75%, it's a sock yarn, 75% wool and 25% nylon. And the Stylecraft is all acrylic, in case you haven't heard of that brand before. And so I thought that the wool would add some extra warmth to it. And so I am very happy with the way these turned out. And unfortunately, I won't be going anywhere cold for the next months, because if you remember, my son is coming to marry on the island, so I don't think I'll be making a visit anytime soon. He lives in New Hampshire, so that is pretty cold. My daughter lives in Maryland, one of my daughters, and so she's also coming for the wedding, so I won't be visiting her. And Clarissa Beth from the Crochetcakes Podcast, well, she lives in Florida, and so I don't think Florida would be a good place to wear my mittens. They're probably not exactly the same. Does anything you ever make come exactly the same? Nothing I make ever comes out exactly the same. And so she does give you different instructions for left and right so that the tree is kind of like going up in the same direction. But I always find that the second time that I make a pattern, it always comes out because I figured out everything I was doing wrong. And so it was so much easier to make the cable. So maybe I was more relaxed, and so I'm feeling that one is slightly bigger than the other. Slightly longer than the other. I wonder if it was a problem with my gauge. Not a lot, but slightly. Or maybe I did an extra row and I didn't realize it. I don't know. They could be blocked, maybe, and then block them to the same. But I really like them. I like them a lot. And so that was my venture into fingerless mitts that I always wanted to have, and for some reason I had this pattern for a while. It is not a new pattern, so I think it's 2013 or something like that, because it was from when, yes, August 2013. So it was from when, so what is that, 6 years ago? It's from when the Harry Potter movies were all popular and, going viral across everywhere. But I'm very satisfied, very happy. That is an entry for the, what's it called? Mischief Managed. It's also very appropriately shared, and I kept it in this bag, which was also made for me by Clarissa Smith of the Crochetcakes Podcast. So this is I already entered it into the FO of the Mischief Managed Mal, and so I've got that done. Oh, let's see. I don't know if I should call this an end of the line project because I haven't woven in the ends. I usually weave in the ends pretty late on my projects, especially if it's a garment, because I always want to make sure that there's not still some modification that I want to make. And then I don't want to hide those ends until I'm sure that I'm not going to want to take it apart again. But remember the dress that I have been sharing with you over the last podcasts? Well, the dress is complete in the sense that the 4 panels have been made. I won't say that it has reached the end of the line because I still have ends to weave in. And I normally, on a project like this, a garment or something that has taken a long time to make, I'm usually careful of leaving the ends in. I even let it sit at the side for a while to make sure that I don't want to do any modification to it, and that once those ends are woven in, I won't have to rip them out. So the last time I had just joined them together to see how they would look. But I had also told you that the pineapple stitches would not join because it was going to have that band of beads going all the way down the middle. And so it has the band of beads. It's all been attached. Remember that I was talking about how the sides of this, I had to straighten them out because I didn't make the complete panel because I used a DK weight yarn, and so my panels were coming out actually a bit bigger, and so I left off a couple of lines, but then I wanted to straighten them out, and while they were straightened out, I added some DCs all the way down. Well, a combination of DCs, single crochet, slip stitches, whatever I needed to straighten out the pattern, and then I steam blocked the whole dress again after I had stitched it all together, and these particular side seams and the seams at the top, at the shoulder seams, I ironed them. My iron has a setting for silk, and since this is 80% cotton, 20% silk. I went with the lowest setting, which was the cotton, and I think they flattened very nicely. Now I have a video. of where I wore this specifically so I could share it with my daughter Elizabeth, and she could tell me if she thought that this was worthy, that I could wear this actually to the wedding. And so I'll share it with you. It's not, you'll see all the ends dangling, but the underdress, I have purchased a couple of them, just low cost strapless or short sleeve dresses that I could put under it. But I haven't liked any of the ones because they stick too much to the body and they're too hot. They don't breathe. So I haven't liked any of them. I did buy a couple of slips. The first slip was too sheer. I may wait until the girls come in and have them check and see. Maybe I think it's too sheer, but it'll be fine. And then there's still one that hasn't come in. So I'm not yet ready because I don't have the underdress to wear along with it. But well, yeah, the rest is ready. I still have this stitch mark at the front so I can tell the front from the back, only because I don't know why. There's no difference. There is no difference between the front and the back, and you could wear it either way. So there's actually no reason to put that on there. But, well, I still have it there. So put up the video, insert it here so that you can see how the whole thing looks. Because Cora wasn't being a good model for this, since she has no legs, the dress was all just draping towards the middle, and so it didn't look very appealing or attractive, and I didn't want you to get the idea that that's the way it was going to look when I had it on. So I left it off Cora for today, but I will show you the video of what it's going to look like. I left a little bit of cleavage at the front. This is the amount, I think it's maybe 7 inches, and at the back. And I also left it open at the bottom. I did not add the train because I didn't want it to look too much like a wedding dress, so I didn't add the train. And I just left it open at the back to make it easier to walk in. So take a look at this video and comment later on about whether you think that I should wear this dress to my son's wedding or not. So I still can't call that a finished object because I haven't woven in the ends. You see all the ends hanging down there, because now that I am also looking at the back, I can see that even though I pinned it, here you go, my pineapple didn't line up, so I'm going to have to take that out and redo it. It didn't take that much time to sew it up, but I don't know why I didn't realize that before. It's fine. I've got time. Today is the 29th of September, and the wedding is a month away. It's the 20th of October. So if I am done with this part of it, the only thing left is to weave in those ends and to find the right underdress. I think I accomplished my mission. Who would say? Well, if I were to be able to go back in time, I think that I would do it differently, because it's a very heavy dress, as you can guess. I believe I used 11 50-gram balls of DK yarn, 11 50-gram balls of DK yarn. What's that, 550 grams? Which actually isn't that much. If you use 300 grams for a blouse, 550 wouldn't seem that much, but it is quite heavy. And I do think that it looks much more elegant in a fingering weight. And also the cotton silk, I love the way it feels. And if it had been in fingering weight, I might not be saying this today, but since it is DK, the cotton silk has a lot of drape to it. And I think that for the dress to to be more attractive, to get the best from the design, you needed to have a yarn that was sturdier, that would hold its shape with the weight of the yarn. And so, yes, I think she was very chose the appropriate yarn to make the dress. And I'm sure that even the cotton acrylic would be drapier than just the 100% mercerized cotton. And so if you in the future want to make it, if you get a chance, if you want to look into making it, you could probably also make it into a short dress. It doesn't have to be an evening gown. But I would use the mercerized cotton because though it's very soft, yeah, I kind of think that it feels like I have a blanket thrown over me because of the thickness. But I also even made the crochet belt. If I have to say something, I would say that adding the beads to this project, and I'll also put in a little video here in case you have never done that before. When you add beads to crochet, most of the time you thread the beads onto your crochet yarn or thread first, and then you crochet moving the beads up into each stitch as needed, right? But you can also add them after. And it seems like a lot of beads to add in it. And if you look at the method, it seemed like you had to have so much patience and be so tolerant, but I just didn't feel it. I added them in one sitting. I mean, I eat one panel at a time because it would take me over an hour, but I was so happy adding those beads. I was so happy. The repetitive movement of going in and out and stopping to add a bead, switching your hook, the whole movement just made me very happy. So I'll share that with you too. In case you haven't seen that before, it might be useful on some other project. In case you haven't seen it, I'll include a video of that also. The belt, however, I did not. I strung the 195 beads first, and then I just followed the pattern. So it goes around twice on the waist, and I think that's also one of my favorite notions. I think after I could probably even tie the ends together and just wear it as a necklace. There would be no problem doing that. As a choker or as a necklace. And so I don't think it'll go to waste. It wasn't very time consuming. It was done pretty quickly once the beads were strung. And my work in progress section is called pressing on. So I am pressing on with that dress. I thought I would have it finished by today, but like I say, I'm okay. I just don't want to keep on talking about it forever because I know you must be tired and of hearing about it. But I will share with you a couple of the whips that I still have on my hook. The crochet socks that I was making, I am ashamed to say, have not reached the end of the line. They're still a work in progress because after showing you the first one, that was complete. This is all I've done in the second one, which is I think is not actually a lot because I had shown you a toe, but I had to redo the toe in a 3.5 because I had mistakenly done it in a 3.25 and that wasn't going to be big enough for me. So I redid it in a 3.5 millimeter. This is all I've done up to now. Shame, shame, shame on me. They should have been finished, but since I finished this big project, now I will have time to complete this other one. Unless I got distracted again. I did. I got distracted by the fact that October came along, or is coming along. It hasn't come along yet. It is coming along. And I wanted to have decorations for Halloween around my house by October 1st so that I could enjoy them for at least the whole month. I usually put them up so late that I really can't enjoy them. So I wanted to make a Halloween decoration, And what I found was a pattern. This is a paid for pattern because I couldn't find one that looked like this one. And so the paid for pattern is a doily. And I'm going to show you several doilies that I'm going to be working on to put around the tables in my living room. Where is this? This pattern is called the Masquerade Party Crinoline Girl Doily. Such a long name. Short version is that it is a witch doily. That's what I call her, a witch doily. Okay. She's called the Masquerade because if you look at her hand, she's holding on to a mask. But I decided I was just going to make her as a witch. One of my favorite witches from the Harry Potter series. Well, from the Harry Potter movie series, because when you read books, it's not the same as watching them in the movies where you have actors who portray the roles. And if they are favorite actors of yours, you usually like that character, the way that character is portrayed. And so one of my favorite witches in the series is the witch portrayed by Maggie Smith. And so McGonagall, Professor McGonagall. And so in order for this to represent McGonagall, for some reason, I guess I don't remember if it is mentioned in the book. In the series, they present her usually with her black robe, but with green details. And so, like if she goes out, the coat she's going to wear on top has some green in it. And so I decided to make my version of this. I have put her into this frame only to hold her upright because so much for holding her upright. Only to hold her upright. No. Okay. I just wanted you to be able to see it because holding her upright with my hand was not going to do her justice. I'm going to turn off an extra light that I have here for a moment so that you don't get that much glare, but here it is. Okay. I put her into this frame so that you can see her better. Because if I was holding her with my hand, she's going to be falling all over the place. You would never appreciate her as much. So what happened here? I ran out of black. I was using here Red Heart fine mercerized cotton, just a black spool that I had somewhere around there. And I don't remember if I had ever used that spool before because it was terrible. I normally use Aunt Lydia's mercerized cotton or Omega cotton because that's what I find on the island, and even the mercerized cotton was much softer than that. This one felt more like when I was using the nylon because it felt more like it had a plastic cover on it, and I just did not enjoy at all working with it. Even hurt my hand sometimes because it's so hard. And so yeah, but I did. The pattern says mercerized cotton number 10. She uses 100% cotton. She does not say mercerized, so. But she used number 10, which is a lace weight, and I didn't have that. I had number probably, I don't know, because this is Red Heart. Red Heart doesn't go by numbers, but it felt a little bit to me like the fingering weight. So mine might be slightly bigger than hers, which is not a bad thing. It'll cover up more of my table. So I ran out of the black, and so I decided to put the last 2 lines in that green color, and then the bodice was supposed to be in black, except for this. I don't know how well you can see that. There is like a ruffled yoke, which is being flattened by the picture frame. But it is supposed to be in contrasting color, and I just made it all in the same color because I didn't have any black. And because I didn't have any more black, the only thing she's missing is a hat. And so I haven't made her hat because I don't have any more black. But once I do put the hat on her head, she will no longer fit into this picture frame. So I can't put her up in this picture frame. She would need a bigger one. And so this is going to be another entry for the Mischief Managed Mal because of the fact that I am going to call her Professor McGonagall. I might put a wand into her hand. What do you think about that? You'll also notice that, well, I don't know, but I'll tell you. The arms are made separately, and then they are attached to one stitch of the bodice under the yoke, under this ruffled yoke. And then you glue them, because that way they are attached, but you can move them around, and you can glue them into whatever position you would like. But what I was not able to do, if you'll notice the pattern, the original pattern, what I was not able to do was to get my arm to go upward like that one. Both of my arms sit down like this. And I also feel that my arms are thicker than hers. Well, yeah, of course, that's because I'm using a thicker yarn, right? What hook size was she using? I'm sorry, I closed it. She uses a 1.5 millimeter hook, and I was using a 2.5 because of the fact that I was using fingering and not lace weight. So yeah, that might be the reason why my arms are bigger. I might take it apart, and make them in a thinner yarn. But maybe not. Maybe it's not so important that I will do it. I don't know. So that is one of my whips. It would have been finished if I hadn't run out of black yarn, but I did run out of black yarn, so my McGonagall witch is not yet complete. But she most likely will be for the next podcast. And maybe also future projects for me is another doily. I say this, but at the same time I realize that every 2 weeks here I'm mentioning projects that I want to work on, and I kind of like never work on them because I find other things to do. So I'm still pending. I've got there up at the top of the shelf the box with the yarn to start the Christmas gifts, that vest that I want to make for my daughter. But now that I finished this big project, I think I have room to push something else in. It was just that I wanted to decorate my home for the beginning of October now, and so I want to get a couple of things done before I start a long-term project that will occupy more of my time. So the other project that I want to start probably sometime today, if I don't have to edit too much this podcast, sometimes today, my other project is another doily that I want to put on my table. Okay, it's also a free pattern. You can find the link from Ravelry or go directly to it if you Google it. It's just called Boo. That's what it's called. And it's by Marcia Glassner, 2018. So it's been online for about a year. And I'm going to work it up in this yarn. This is Petra, DMC Petra. It's 100% cotton and not mercerized, but it's cotton. And it says number 5. It says number 5. That's $4.99 American. Probably a lot cheaper wherever you live. But I'm going to make it that because I am going to call this my Dementor doily. This is going to be my Dementor doily. That's why I want to work it up in gray and not in white, because I do have a lot of white around there, but I'm going to work it up in gray. So I'm going to call it my Dementor doily, and that will be, guess what? Another, probably my final entry for the Mischief Managed Mal. Just trying to get you all into the spirit there and share with you some projects that are particularly not difficult and not challenging, and they're quick enough to and useful. I mean, put them away for a year, but then every 1 month during a year you can take them out and use them around your house, or they can be gifted if you know somebody who is particularly likes Halloween and they have a birthday, or you actually exchange presents for Halloween. Well, that is I think it's a pretty make. I think it's cute. I haven't crocheted up any pumpkins, so that might be another make that I'll work on during the next couple of weeks. But for now, I'm going to say that that's what I want to work on next. Most likely, I will need, or I will end up making my own slip. So I purchased online this pattern. Is it? It's Simplicity. I thought for some reason it was better. This Simplicity pattern. It's a vintage pattern, 1964. But I thought it could be the dress that I wear, my underdress. You know, depending on the actual fabric that I choose to make it, I could make it as my underdress. The only thing was, I bought it with some, you know, I thought, oh, maybe this is nothing to do. It's because it says size 12, but it says bust 32. And so I know it's going to be a bit small. If I make it exactly as the pattern is, I'm going to have to add a little bit to it. But I'll try it out first. Sometimes, I don't know. My experience in the past was that sometimes these patterns can come out big. We'll see. 75 cents. And I'll have you know that it did not cost me 75 cents. I'll have you know that it cost me a lot more than 75 cents. I think a lot more. So, that's it for me today. Those are my upcoming plans, and I hope that you will comment below about what you think about my video of the dress, and you will comment below about what projects you are working on, so that this can become a two-way communication instead of just a one-way monologue of me talking to myself. It's so good to feel that you guys actually watch, actually share, and actually think about what I'm making when you are making your things, and I would like to be able to think about what you're making when I'm making my things. So share below. If you have liked what we have shared today, please hit the like button. And thank you for watching today. Thank you if you decide to share this. Thank you if you decide to come back in 2 weeks looking for me. Hopefully I'll be here. I want to get in at least one more episode before the wedding, so that I don't know why. Because I've already shown you my dress, and I hope to be able to talk to you about the wedding once it's over, and to have good things to tell you about my experiences during that activity. So stay tuned to this channel, and in the meantime, keep yourself safe, keep yourself healthy, and keep crafting. Bye for now.